So here we are. We found Trump guilty, 34 counts on felony charges.
Mm-hmm.
My question is this. Is he an ordinary felon?
No.
No. What does that make him? Because he's not going to do no jail time.
No. They said that. People in Washington mentioned that. You know?
What does that say about the people who are felons right now?
It's a slap in the face.
Slap in the face.
Because had he been, if he was black, forget it.
He'd have been locked up.
What? He would have been under the jail. There would have been no long trial, any of that. He would have been, they're up guilty.
Is this the perfect example of white privilege?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And it's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm 54 right now.
Right.
And I've been reading about this stuff since I was, in high school.
Right.
And that's going back to the 80s.
Yes.
And just learning about African American history and what we've been through for the past centuries in this country. And, it's disappointing. It's just this is still happening. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing that hurts me the most is the people who are actually felons right now, they have rules. Some of their rules, you can't vote for a certain amount of years.
Yep.
You can't drive for a certain amount of years. You can't do certain things for amount of years. Now that does he have to follow these rules too, or they don't apply to him?
It seems like that these rules don't apply to him.
Wow.
Which is very unfair. Which
Very
kind
unfair.
of makes you want to question our democracy and our laws and our morals. I mean, this country, well, obviously we have no morals now. We're the laughing stock of the globe.
Yes, we are.
Because this man is able to run for president and forget about the felony part. Everything he's done in the past. We've witnessed so many presidential campaigns, and everyone was pretty much particular about your personal life. Why is Joe Biden's son the big topic right now?
I don't know.
You
think he's the next target?
Who, Biden?
Yeah. No. Son.
His son?
Yes.
In terms of
next felony case. Big one.
It could be because he's got a lot.
Gun charges.
He did a lot of things.
Yes.
Bro. Yeah. The evidence is showing that he's about to. They're about to get him too. But it's I know what the voters are saying in the Trump camp, or the Republicans. Oh, look at his son. How you see how that affects the president himself. And I'm just well, that really has nothing to do with Joe Biden. I mean, that's his son, of course. You know what I mean?
And that was the case.
It doesn't have anything to do with his ability to be the president. You know what I mean?
I'm going to agree to disagree.
Because if they judge him for that,
right,
then Trump shouldn't even be mentioned. In you know what I mean? In
At
terms
all.
of running for president after all the things Trump has done.
Well, we actually in the seat with Trump because of his son. Remember, his son started everything with the shady business deal that made everything roll over. So once again, here's Biden's son doing the same thing.
Yeah,
I guess when you sit in that seat, if you at that high seat and your child is able to play at certain levels,
mm-hmm.
You're not just playing with the ordinary domestic person.
Right.
But
how did I mean
foreign and domestic is in rule here when you are the son of the president. I'm just being honest.
You're right. It's just okay, so then I think we as Americans need the list of what the requirements of being the president. What are the requirements? You apply for a job, these are the requirements.
Right.
Or these are the qualifications, these are the responsibilities. And then also you have a background check to see if you have any extracurricular activities that you shouldn't be involved in.
Right.
And we've seen that throughout for decades. We're okay, all these terms, and everyone's well, we want to make sure that this person's a Christian, and we want to make sure this person is making the right decisions, is moral and everything. And
Trump took the cake with this one.
Trump is totally the opposite.
He's truly gangster for this.
Yeah, he's the lawless one. I remember I mentioned it last time. He's the lawless one.
Yes.
And now what's the proof will be in the pudding is if he moves on to be the president and he's a felon. If that happens, I don't even think I want to live in this country.
I'm just going to say this. Right now, he got the conviction, 34 counts.
Yeah.
Anybody who's coming out of jail after that, after the verdict. I can't say if you were a felon during the verdict,
right?
Which means if you was a felon 3 years ago and you're still a felon now, going to what they call it, parole or probation or however you.
Yeah, I think it's parole. Yeah.
Okay, so there's really nothing they can do now. You have to accept the verdict on that. But if you're a person who actually comes out of jail as a felon after the verdict, oh, you got to be expecting some shit. Excuse the language. You have to be expecting, because there's no way you're going to tell me a white man just sat up in front of you. Now, a felony case convicts of murder, assault, and robbery, right? Am I correct? Something to that effect.
Right.
So you have a felon who comes down, and most of your felons are murderers, minority felons. I'm gonna put it on my minorities first.
Right.
Minority felons are usually murderers and really drug dealers.
Right.
They're usually 3-time convicted drug dealers. Now, you're talking about these people can't come out. They're not able to drive. I said it earlier. They're not able to vote. You can't get a job.
Felons, and if it's a drug, if you're a felon from a drug case, you can't receive financial aid.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The government won't allow you. Yeah, you're not allowed to have financial aid.
So basically, if you're a felon, you're not recognized by this country.
No, you gotta. Yeah,
you gotta start basically.
You gotta take out loans if you want to go to school.
Yeah.
And you might not even get
the loan. That's right,
because of your
background,
your criminal history,
and because you're judged on the fact of your last 10 years of your life. That's what most people do it on.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he's actually a convicted felon and he's still able to run for presidency, that's a slap in the face for the system.
Yeah, absolutely.
What in the world? If I'm a felon, I have to stay. I have to protest that.
Yeah,
I would have to form some type of. I can't even think of the word that we could even use to storm wherever the fellas need to go, the Capitol Center. Protest, because there's no way in the world. You telling me this man got 34 counts of felony.
And he's still...
And he's walking.
Yep. He's in his own plane. This guy comes to court comfortable. Leaves,
every day.
He goes wherever, afterwards he goes wherever he travels to wherever he wants to go, and he says whatever he wants to say. Even when the judge tells him you gotta have a tight lip on this, and he's still out there like, whatever. Trump does whatever he wants.
He doesn't care.
No. And if this man becomes a president, it should concern everybody. This guy doesn't go by the book at all. No matter what his people was telling him this when he was the president before. You can't say this, you can't do that. He does it anyway.
He doesn't care.
Because look at his campaign. He's not talking about when he talks about make America great again. He's not talking about the old United. Well, he is actually referring to the old ways.
Old ways, railroads and mining and all of that. Yes.
He's not calling it the United States. If you notice, his logo is red. It's not red, white, and blue. It's red and technically it's red and white. It's the MAGA hat. That's his sign. It's not the American sign. His people are.
I didn't think of that.
I heard a lot of Trump constituents say, "We want to follow the red and white for the MAGA hat, not the MAGA hat, but follow the colors. Like our colors are red and white. We're following Trump, not the United States. We're following Trump."
I didn't even think of that. You know what? And I paid attention to the fact that his stuff is in red and white. Mm-hmm. But you know me, I'm always thinking he's just somebody that just wanted to stand out. He made shirts. Not thinking that the color stands for a symbol. It stands for an actual movement.
He's a brand. And
damn.
He sold them. Someone brought that up.
You know what's funny?
The last time he was president.
Not to interrupt you. Now, he could take a red cloth and turn it into a fucking business brand.
Yep.
But the people on the street, and I mean the Bloods and the Crips, and I know it's gang related on that color, but they can't even turn that into a brand. Although they might have. I'm not sure if they... let me double check that before I say that again.
What, gang or the
Bloods? Because the Bloods they have their red and white. Conflict of interest?
No, it's different in the streets because the Bloods use a lot of they have various symbols. Like the Chicago Bulls hat.
Right.
They use sports paraphernalia to actually identify themselves.
We're going to get into that too. That's actually a very good one.
Kansas City Royals.
Right. Crips color.
Yeah.
You're right too.
Yeah.
And the New York Yankees had the significant too with the Latin community.
And also what Mike Piazza's number is 13, right?
13, yes.
Yeah, because
MS-13.
They
I didn't want to say it, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, this is why I talk to you, Spence. We always got material for the next show.
I used to have trainings on gangs, so I was trained to identify them because I worked in a facility. I worked in a non-security facility, and that's
you think this is his movement just for the red hat alone? Because he knows that the red hat, what it signifies.
It represents him, just like the Apple sign represents the Macintosh or Apple. The headset. If you see the headset, well now it's no longer the one with the wires. It's the one that's like the wireless one. The Apple represents Apple. So when you see that, it's the same thing with Trump. His MAGA hat, his red tie. That man wears a red tie all the time.
All the time.
And it's like it's supposedly presidential, but I think it's more than just that. I think that that's the way that Trump
color scheme.
Yeah,
the color scheme means a lot. You open my eyes. Yeah,
just like the T. He has the T on the top of his building.
Well, why you think he chose red? It's like a cover up to it. It's like almost saying I'm a leader to the cover up. If that makes sense. Because it's almost like you're saying that, I know that this color signifies gang relation, but it also can signify unity because they are unified worldwide. The color could be closely related to demonic spirit because look at Doja Cat with Paint the Town Red. Have you seen that video? Yes. That video pretty much it emulates a lot of demonic things that was mentioned in the scriptures. I forgot the name of the woman in the Old Testament that there are certain words that Doja Cat says is exactly matches exactly that person in the scripture. I saw the video, didn't really pay attention to the words.
Yeah, she's.
I was looking. I wasn't to say I was looking at the demonic stuff, but I was looking at stuff like, man, that's a little unusual. But nowadays, videos are all unusual because they're mostly about death.
They're about death, sex, and murder.
And murder.
That's what hip hop is right now.
Yes, it is.
And that's unfortunate.
I think that's everywhere. And I'm saying it's even in boxing.
Yep.
Basketball.
Yeah.
I even going to say women's basketball. Certain things, and I hate to say it that way, but this is what's playing a part. It's what's selling right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely what's selling.
Yep.
My thing is, he goes to court now in July. Does he get acquitted?
He might. I mean, it all depends. I really thought, actually, I thought it was going to be a hung jury. I didn't think that they were going to come to a decision like that.
I didn't think he was going to be found guilty. I don't think he's going to go to jail either.
No. And this whole thing that just happened kind of like elevated his status.
Of course.
He's now...
He changed the life of the felon.
Yeah.
He changed the life of every minority felon who comes out after that conviction or gets convicted of a felony crime. After that conviction, he lets you know it's all right to be convicted of a felon and still move on with your life 100% without anybody being involved.
Yeah, exactly.
He made that clear.
I think he actually indirectly proved to everyone that he is above the law.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Because Letitia James was saying, oh, yeah, there's no one that's above the law. No one's above the law. Well, it looks like he is. Because though he's a felon, this man's going to be able to do things that other felons can't do. That makes you above the law.
And I said this, too, because most of his crime wasn't done in Manhattan or in New York, period. And I didn't understand why they even brought him back here.
Oh, because...
Residency?
It could be residency. That is a good question. Yeah, he I know he had another case where it has to do with when he was talking with what was the he was found guilty of exaggerating his wealth,
right,
for better investment.
Well, he's not rich. His name. It's his name that carries.
Yeah, his name. It's in accounting. His name is
because of the father. The father trademarked that name to the point where, in order for you to use that name in anywhere, you have to pay him for the rest of his life. That family gets paid off Trump for the rest of their life.
Yeah, his name is. It just came to me. His name is an intangible asset,
Right.
which is something that's not solid, or it's not a building, or
Right.
it's just his name.
It's just his name.
It's like intellectual property.
Yeah.
So
Can anyone do that?
yeah, if you got to pay good money
But
for it,
right.
And then it's got to be like you got to make a huge dent in business in terms of like if you have a product or a service that's beyond its competition, and you're making all this money, and now you're on Wall Street, you're in the stock exchange and everything. So pretty much, that now your name is worth something. So now, let's say another company say, "Hey, we'd like to put your name on our building," or something like that. Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be. You tell them one thing. Well, your lawyers, your financial lawyers, will say, "Yeah, this is going to be about this month. It's going to cost you this," and you're making money off of your name.
Yeah.
And it keeps growing.
That's what I said about the Trump Towers.
Yeah, Trump has been around since
years,
as far as we can remember.
Yes.
So
the father and the grandfather.
And then he's got international investments that we know nothing about.
But that's my point of saying, why would you take him for 34 accounts here when this man got offshore accounts and things that are worse than what? Why here? Why you choose the Manhattan DA to go after him? Now, you probably could convict him because what they're trying to really basically got him on is forgery and robbery.
Right.
Or they tried. That's what they say. Even though he's convicted, I'm telling people, just because a person is convicted don't mean their conviction is going to stand.
Right.
Because in my case, if he was convicted, I think they would have automatically arrested him if they found that the charges were actually true.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What you see in the media is not what you see. Everybody does a dance for the courtroom. I say that all the time. People dance for the courtroom. But the matter of the fact is you have to watch what's happening behind the dance. Just like I told somebody, when the Baltimore Bridge fell, they were doing up. The banks were signing a $50 million, $200 billion settlement debt for people who owed in credit cards, and people didn't know that. They had a certain amount of time, and in order to distract you from doing that, they knocked down the bridge. They knocked down the bridge so you could not see that they were signing this bill. Wells Fargo signed it, Chase signed it. And a couple other banks. So if you wasn't paying attention, that was the distraction that they used. Because here's the thing: they told people, "Hey man, 4 people died. This people died. Did you see them dragging anybody's out that?"
No.
You didn't see that. You didn't see them drag anybody out that.
It kind of reminds me of Enron. The Enron scandal, the whole thing with, and of course, it was Dick Cheney that was responsible for it. And as soon as that, because it was about to hit,
it's the same thing.
Hit the whole. It was about to that was going to be the thing. And well, I don't know if social media was as big then as it is now, but the whole world was about to see something that was going down in this country when it comes to Enron. This whole financial scandal. 9/11 happens.
Right.
Right on the point. Look, forgot about Enron.
Right on the point.
Now we're focusing on the Twin Towers going down. Who did it? Now we're going to we need to go find Bin Laden, and then we go into the Middle East and
distract you from a whole lot of things
and finish George Bush's senior's war that he had like years back with the Middle East.
I always tell people that if you see something major happen, wait. When they want you to see something, they put it major front page. Mm-hmm. It's the ones you don't see in the small corners of the page that you need to look at, because that's where the real story's at.
Yeah.
I read that in the newspaper that the bank signed, I think it was over $200 billion to bail this country out of credit card debt. And my thing is, nobody knows that. All you got to do is go online and file it.
China's the one that's actually
I don't know how it came about. I didn't finish looking at it, although that is a good point. That was my next, because I know China bailed us out 4 times already that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
Yes. And the fact that they're still willing to go to war with us, go to war against us, has to tell you something.
Yeah. China's they're laughing at us.
I know they are.
They're planning something. It's
are they going to take over?
They are they're staring at Taiwan. They're just looking at it and they're just waiting for the moment, just like what happened in the Gaza Strip with not Rafah. It's what's the name of the terrorist group that they were going after in Palestine? It's just in my head. Hamas. But before that happened, Israel was split they were in a civil war against each other, not physically, but government-wise.
As far as government,
they were not agreeing on any type of a law or whatever they were just arguing over. And Netanyahu was on the fence. And then all of a sudden, this thing happened. Israelis get attacked by Hamas, and automatically everybody was just like, okay, we need to go to war against Palestine. Not Hamas. Well, they kept mentioning Hamas, but it looks like
not Hamas.
They hit in Palestine. They're just like, we could.
That was their reason.
Yeah, we need to tell them to back up. Because they got, yeah. So,
I never understood fighting over a land that doesn't belong to anybody.
In my opinion, the reason why that was happening is, God does things that teaches us lessons. Because if you think about it, the Israeli people has been on the run since the very beginning of time. They've been kicked out of here, kicked out of there.
Right.
Everybody's coming at them. They're fighting. But this small group of folks are fighting against everybody and winning. Then they're taken from their land and they're scattered across the world. They end up in Europe, and you know what happened then. And then so, and to this very day. Now, and then when they go back home. To the promised land, God promised them that piece of land. Everybody's like, why would God do that though? Why would he put them in the middle of all of these Arabs and all these different types of religions of this one religion, Islamic religion, to prove a point to all those people around them? All the people that's not of God. God was to say, I'm just letting you know that these people are going to be right here, and if you have something to say about it, you're going to have to say it to me.
So let me ask you a question though. So do you believe that can we say the Jews? Mm-hmm. Are they from Europe?
The Jews?
Yes.
I believe
Where were they first removed from? Russia?
No, actually going further back than that.
Before Hitler?
Before Hitler, they were kicked out of their land. I don't know exactly when. I would have to do some more reading on that. But ever since they ended up there, they were being attacked and forced out.
So technically, the Jews don't really have a home.
That's their promised home because they actually went back to where they were kicked out of.
Right.
And then, God did say, I'm going to bring you back. You're going to be scattered, but then you will come back to your land.
And here lies the five-headed beast. Yeah, and I don't think people know what that means. And that five-headed beast is so dangerous. And like I tell people, the United States sits in the middle of that five-headed beast. On this end, you have Russia. Mm-hmm. On this end, you have Great Britain. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle, you got China. And I can't actually tell you who sits on the side of Great Britain, in between Great Britain and the United States on this left-hand side, because I'm actually not sure.
I know that Russia is going to expand.
They already did that.
Yeah, they're going to go further.
They already did that.
They're going to go after all of those NATO countries.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop them from that.
No.
And I don't think the United States have the power, nor do they even want to get in.
This country's going to implode.
Yeah, it is. You said something before that. I said, man,
we're going at it.
Are we going to fold or fall? You said we're already falling.
Yeah, we're going to implode because all of this, what's happening now, and it's all spiritual. It's all demonic. Like the devil is taking. If when the devil becomes this busy, because his time is short. That means the coming of Christ. I don't know when,
but he's coming.
But he's coming because you see it. You see it with our youth. Our youth are just pretty much operating off of dark spirits.
Out of control.
Yeah.
Is that our fault?
It's our fault in terms of not. It's something that Paul said in the book of Corinthians that we as Christians should actually and I believe it was Paul. If it wasn't Paul, it might have been Timothy. But in the New Testament, there's something that's mentioned in terms of like Christians need to leave the milk alone and start eating meat, and that sounds like Paul as a Christian. We need to grow and become stronger people of God because I don't know if you're familiar with the book, the book of Acts. When once Jesus returned and the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit, everybody speaking in tongues, and then he went out preaching and he went out casting out demons. And some of these brothers would try to they were lukewarm. And there was an incident in the book of Acts where one of the prophets or one of the apostles was trying to cast out the spirit, and this spirit was stopped and looked at him. It's like, well, I know who, because he said in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast you out. And he was just like, well, I know who Jesus Christ is.
Ooh.
But I don't know who you are.
Wow.
And that spirit beat the life out of that. Well, he didn't die, but they beat the crap. He ran out of that house naked and bloody. He was destroyed. Like that.
I gotta ask you a question that kind of flows off a topic while we into the Bible. I was baffled by something we had a conversation with about the Book of Enoch.
Oh yeah.
And the one thing I was doing a little research. There were 3 people who walked into heaven with Jesus. Mm-hmm. One was Enoch.
Yep.
One was Elijah.
Yep.
And the other was
Melchizedek.
I never could pronounce his name. But anyway, look.
Some people think that Melchizedek was Jesus.
I see you are way ahead of me before I'm ahead of me.
Because
I'm thinking Enoch was even Moses before there was original Moses.
Right.
Now I'm only saying that to say this. Enoch is the first person to walk into heaven with God, hand in hand. Mm-hmm. But his book doesn't make the Bible.
No, and that's the Catholics' fault.
Yeah,
that's the Roman Catholic Church.
Let me just finish what I want to say. Because it tells you that Jesus ascended on the right hand of the Father, it also tells you Jacob had a chariot ride. Was it Jacob?
No, Elijah.
Elijah had the chariot ride.
He went into heaven on
the chariot.
Fiery chariot.
Yes, yeah. Right. But Enoch was the only one that Jesus held his hand. He held his hand, and he was the one who came back and said, "This is what heaven looks like. This is what heaven is. This is what happens. This is what goes on in heaven." And he goes on to describe the war that goes on in heaven. Mm-hmm. Do you think he didn't make the book because the fact that people won't believe that heaven is a beautiful place?
I don't know about that. It does sound. I mean, that's a good theory. But I think that the reason why that book was taken out, there were quite a few books that was taken out.
Yes, it was.
And I think it was because the Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church, the Archdiocese, believed that they wanted people to follow. They wanted people to become Catholic, so they had to. So they actually reviewed all these books and say, okay, this one could actually deter them from us. This one doesn't, sounds like, because folks are going to read it and be like, wait a minute, because they're. I mean, even in
his book is deep.
Yeah,
so I understand.
And even in the books that remained in the Bible, in the Old Testament,
little wicked.
God was gangster.
Yeah, he was. He was a little wicked.
Because when Elijah did these battles with these wizards and all these people, I think it was the first Kings or second Kings, but after he won, God just gave him instructions. Now kill them all. That's what he told them.
And I'm trying to.
So people will read that and be like, wait a minute, God's about killing? Oh no, I don't want to follow him. So that's what the Catholic Church was thinking. So, and in the Book of Enoch is deep. All this stuff that was. If someone made a movie out of the Book of Enoch, it would beat the Avengers.
You are way ahead of me today. You are way ahead of. From the giants to the angels, to the fight in heaven,
the Watchers coming down with your angels that saw the beauty in the women.
Where's Mel Gibson when you need him, man?
And those angels that had sex with these women,
yes,
God buried them, put them in this under deep. It's over there by the Euphrates.
So let's just say this before we even go further. It is safe to say that you had angels other than Lucifer.
Oh.
And now Lucifer wasn't his real name either.
No.
It was something son.
Morning Star?
Morning Star.
Right. He was the most beautiful angel in
the world. That's most in heaven.
Yeah.
And
he was feeling himself to the point where he.
You think he was?
Yeah.
Or do you think he got caught up in the fact of the Watchers and everything else that was going on up there?
No, from the beginning, the devil was like, I got all this power. I'm in charge of all these beings. I'm trying to remember the name for it because they're a different type of being. They're like celestial beings.
So you think there was life before us?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think heaven is not even. I think heaven is outside of this universe because Paul mentioned something that He said that I had dreamt that I was in the third heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, folks who wrote books in the past and during those times would describe the blue sky as the heavens. But he said he was in the third heaven.
And beyond the stars.
He's beyond space.
He's beyond
that means
the
he's
stars.
beyond he's beyond the curtain of space. He's outside of the universe, which that's where God is. God is anything outside of this universe is outside of time.
Another dimension?
I think so.
Wow.
Well, I don't think it's dimension. I think it's just
time span is fine.
It's outside. Sort of like what Marvel calls, like, there's a character called Kang.
I know what you mean.
And he does things. He's a time traveler,
mm-hmm.
but he travels to travels to alternate universes, and the place where he stays is outside of time. That's the reason why he has an age, and he comes from the 31st century, so which is way beyond this century in the comics. God is the same way. He's outside of time. He can't age.
And that's what I was saying, because wasn't Enoch one of the first human beings to live to 365? He lived 365 years. Did Enoch live outside of the universe? Could he have been the original person to have gone to heaven? Mm-hmm. No one had. Who else lived long?
I know he's an example of what Christians call the when people are the rapture. That's supposed to take place.
Yes.
No one knows when, but Enoch is an example of it, because in the rapture, those Christians that are alive now,
mm-hmm.
when the rapture happens, when Jesus shows up, you going straight up, like, you're going to disappear,
yeah.
and your soul, your body's going to fly up into the sky.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing with Enoch. Enoch left after, God saw that he was so pleased with Enoch, that Enoch was such a godly man that, God was like, I'm just going to take you from this world, because there's a lot of things that's going to happen.
At 365, I mean, he walked them right in. They didn't say he walked into heaven. He said they said they went for a long walk and disappeared,
mm-hmm.
and God took him.
Yep. Just like Elijah.
Yeah.
Went up into the sky in a fiery chariot.
Damn.
Moses, I know that Moses didn't.
Moses.
God had to come for his body, and then that's when the devil was arguing, like, wait a minute, how are you taking this guy? First of all, he disobeyed you. He should belong to me. And then the Michael. I think.
Man, I hope they fight over mine. I hope the devil and God fight the hell of. I hope God puts up a hell of a fight too. Like, listen, don't let him win. I suffered enough under the devil down here, because you get to see his destruction.
Yeah,
this right here, what we're happening right now. This is the beginning of the devil's destruction.
Oh, I think it started already.
Yeah,
years back,
man,
decades, maybe hundreds of years back, and now is the time where we're gonna start seeing, like, some serious, like, there's some stuff that's gonna go down, man. I
don't think we're finished. I don't think we're finished. The one thing I think that I always said, the way that the devil might have started his path, the first thing he did was get rid of a lot of the movie theaters, right? And somebody said to me, why do you think that? Because now, when you put out certain movies now you get to see it on the stream. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different from having to sit in the movie when you can sit at home and you can stream stories about God,
mm-hmm.
religion, and everything else. And all these little ethnic groups who have these certain streaming channels, all of that's coming out right now.
Yeah.
It's all coming out.
It's a spiritual fight right now.
Yes, it
is.
is.
And it's getting even stronger. More and more kids are walking away from church. They don't want to go to youth group anymore.
No, they don't.
They don't want to hear about God, because there are other things out there they believe is better. And it's like, I was thinking of this, hit me in the head today. Actually, I was thinking about it. Like, how can we place so much attention and belief into things like, comic book movies and all this stuff, and just all of the money and fame and all these things? We place that above God, but we don't want to have a conversation with God. We're offended by God, and God never offended us. He never came here and said, you guys are bad. You're bad. And
that's a good point.
God came with his arms open and said, hey, look, I want to talk to you about a better place. I want to make you a better person spiritually. Because once your flesh is gone, where are you going to go?
I was always baffled by that too. That people always say God wants to take you to a better place. My question has always been, if God wants to take us to a better place, why did He give us this one to begin with? Why He didn't just give us the better place at the beginning?
Because we as human beings,
right,
we wouldn't appreciate it. We would appreciate it more now. We definitely appreciate it now.
I know I would.
But I mean, look at a rich person. Look at someone who was born in wealth, never experienced poverty before,
right,
and then all of a sudden becomes poor. Most of these folks would kill themselves.
Kill themselves.
Remember the black market crash?
Yes.
You know,
people were jumping out the windows.
Yeah,
yeah,
because they couldn't see themselves poor.
Poor, right?
You know, so
that's the same thing for poor people too, though.
They didn't appreciate it
because a poor person can't see themselves rich. No, they can see themselves rich.
Right.
They just can't deal with the richness. That's. Sorry, I said that backwards.
Yeah,
but you all making sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's like I mean, look at Adam and Eve. They were perfect.
Right.
But for them to really understand who God is, God doesn't want robots.
Do you believe Adam and Eve were the first? Because I'm about to go there with you. My theory. Why you think that out? My theory is this. There's a certain woman who's in the Bible before Eve, by the name of Lilith. A lot of people don't talk about Lilith. She has her own book, the Book of Lilith, that never even made the Bible either.
Right.
And I never understood that. But between her and Enoch, they're both mentioned in Genesis at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Never understood that. They're mentioned but not given a book.
Right.
Could she be the mother of Adam? Do you believe Lilith exists?
I would have to look into it because I've never heard of Lilith. But yet, in the book of Genesis, it tells you the creation of man and the creation of woman, a woman. So it's like creation of actually, female and male were both called man.
I understand that.
And then of course, we as humans we come up with our own,
theories, right?
Yeah,
it's okay.
So it's like we're to make things,
So you haven't heard
fair.
about Lilith,
No.
And that's crazy. And she's one of the first. I always thought Lilith was the wife of the devil. I always thought that they had a child with Adam, and because Adam couldn't sleep with Lilith, God gave him a beautiful woman, which made the devil jealous because she was more beautiful than Lilith.
Right.
But Lilith wasn't more beautiful than he was.
I would have to read.
So that was my theory. But I'm only saying that because we sit here, we talk about the beginning of time, we talk about the era of Trump, we talk a lot. But as minorities, we don't take heed to it.
No, and
we don't take heed because here's the thing,
because we're distracted.
That's what I was just about to say. If we're not distracted by the religion in our household, we're distracted by the crime in the street.
We're distracted by many things, not just crime in the household. We're distracted by our physical selves, of the things that we want instead of what we need. I only
say that because if you're a person that lives in a household whose mother's Catholic and your father's, let's say, Baptist, there's a conflict. Mm-hmm. They believe in God, but there's a conflict. So when you North, you Catholic, but when you South, you Baptist. Mm-hmm. But when it's time to go to heaven or it's time to pray, because there's certain things Baptists don't do that Catholics do. Mm-hmm. Like you walk into a Catholic church, and we always say this because we talk it all the time, that the demonic figures are all over the place.
Right.
But if you walk into a Baptist church, the sign of the cross is there, but there's no faces to the cross.
Right. But in every church, I mean, we got to remember, too, the devil can walk in any church. Any church. He can walk in any church. He can take the word of God and read it to you. Right. He did it to Adam.
All the time.
He did it to Eve. Surely you can't die. Things like that. Devil knew what he was saying.
Yes.
He wanted to see if Eve understood what he was saying, which he knew she didn't. I mean, he knew that she didn't really get what he was saying. But, yeah.
Why Eve instead of Adam? Why approach Eve? This is what I was trying to tell someone. Why would the devil approach Eve and not Adam? If Adam was the first and most precious thing to God. Mm-hmm. Because if Adam didn't ask God for the woman, she wouldn't be there. He said, I'm lonely.
Yeah. Maybe
why not Adam?
The devil knew who he can break and who he couldn't break. Because he does go after people who are weak. if you're strong in the Lord, I mean, you're still going to have your battles. But
Right.
you got to remember too, Jesus did say that now that you are born again now, you guys have the Spirit, so now you can trample upon scorpions and you have the power to. But if you don't have that power, I had a conversation with a Catholic one time. We had an argument. It was really a debate, but I mean, he got really upset. We saw a movie that had to do with exorcisms and stuff like that, and I said that the reason why these priests are having a hard time getting that demon out is because they're probably not true Christians. I bet you if you pull a true Christian, someone who follows Jesus, into that room, that devil's going to run. Because that person possesses the true spirit.
Just because you wear a cloth don't make you pure?
Yeah. Because Catholics are very symbolic.
Wow.
And they place most of their faith in symbolism.
Yes, they do.
Yes, I had a conversation with a priest. I
Statues
said, when
and
he was
everything.
talking about the cross, and he was talking about all these things in the Catholic way, the catechism, and I just asked him one question. I said, hey, I got a question for you. You're talking about all of these things, these symbols, but in the book of Hebrews, Paul mentions that faith is believing in something you cannot see. It's like as soon as the elevator door opens, you automatically walk in it because you believe that elevator's there, right?
Did he have the right to say it? Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Did he have the right to say it in that manner?
Yes. He did. Okay. He was talking to, because it was the book of Hebrews, so he was talking to the Pharisees.
I know.
And these people were very highly intelligent. And that's where the whole discussion about Melchizedek, where did he really come from? He's a mystery. Some believe he's God. He was Jesus.
Because he came through as a baby, if I'm not mistaken, right? He came out of nowhere.
He came out of nowhere. No one knows where he was born.
Right.
No one knows if he died. He was considered a high priest before, and the first high priest was Abraham.
Right.
And Abraham identified him as a high priest. So it's like, okay, so then where did Melchizedek come from?
So you believe he might be the original Son of God?
Yeah, Jesus has been around since the beginning, before he came here in the flesh. It was more. I mean, when God said, "Let us make man like in our own image," who's Jesus? Who's God talking to?
Right.
Right. So it's like, was he talking to the angels? But are we in the same image as? Well, I believe probably everything that God has created.
Why his book didn't make the Bible? They're going to rewrite the Bible, man. I'm telling you, they're going to rewrite the Bible.
Well, yeah, but it's not going to be in a good way because
I can't say what's good or bad. I cannot say because right now the way the Bible is written now is not. People are finding the flaws in it. That doesn't make the book bad.
Flaws.
It just makes that.
If you look at the scripture from your own interpretation and not by the Holy Spirit, you're going to see flaws. And technically, there are no flaws. It's just the devil is putting that in our heads that we're. But
okay,
that doesn't make sense. Well, look at that because he
no,
that's what he does. But
the Bible makes sense.
Right.
What doesn't make sense about the Bible is the way it goes back and forth.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that I believe that the Catholic Church doesn't do well.
No, they don't. It's confused. It can be confusing.
Yes, it can.
But if you have, you call upon the Spirit. I read that book before God even spoke to me. I used to read that book a lot when I was a kid because I was forced to read it.
Right.
My grandmother. I didn't understand a thing. I was just like, "What's going on here?" And then once I reached 25, and then I started. That's when God was like, open the book to Book of Romans. We'll begin from there. And that was the Spirit.
Should you wait for him?
If
you're a person who wants to be involved in God's life, because He does give you a choice. Yep. He doesn't force you.
He doesn't.
He doesn't push you. You have to come to me if you want me. No, I'm not going to say that. Let me rephrase that. Because He's going to help you regardless. My thing is, if you want more than what you feel you deserve, you have to come to me.
Yeah.
Once man comes to God, it's like He does open up more than the book. Because I felt that. I'm not even going to lie, I felt that.
He will show you things that
you have never seen
before. You'll be able to, they call it the power of discernment. You can tell if a person is talking from the Spirit or not, because the Spirit bears witness to the Spirit. So you can tell if the person is not really
of God.
Right.
By the way they talk.
Right, and there are a lot of folks that are portraying, they're pretending to be like, pretending to be like God, pretending to be like a Christian, but they have they have a different initiative, like they're trying to take advantage of you.
Do you know when God,
especially your spirit?
You know when God touched me. That's a good one. The spirit. You know when I realized God touched my heart, when I stopped following a religion. And it wasn't because I thought the religion was right. As I was raised as a Catholic.
Me too.
I went to St. Thomas Aquinas Church all my life. Mm-hmm. Graduated from Cardinal Hayes. Went to St. Raymond's Catholic. I was, went through some things. But you know what I realized when I got closer to God? When I stopped claiming a religion. Mm-hmm. When I started believing in myself that love was what God wanted from me. He started opening doors for me that I could not open myself, which made me come up with a line of saying, God, thank you for taking care of me better than I can take care of myself. I realized that to be humble, to love, and to extend is what God expects of you. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say that you can't be angry. He doesn't say that you can't stand down. He didn't say you couldn't lash out. But you only lash out if I give you permission to lash out, mm-hmm. which means you're allowed to lash out on self-defense. Yep. But to pick up your hand to smack a man because of words doesn't give you the right. I can't, and I understood that. It's just a shame that you have an organization who makes millions, mm-hmm. millions of dollars off of people who get on their knees trying to find salvation, to take the virginity of a little child, to be caught up in all these scandals, mm-hmm. all of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's just the Catholic Church.
Oh,
it's more than just the Catholic Church. But it's the religion, I think, and the way of life that people follow that gets people angry about talking about God. How can you be angry of talking about love?
Because God, you know why? Because God doesn't fit the lifestyle of that person.
Right.
If it, I can't do that.
And God doesn't even have a lifestyle.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear jewelry. He doesn't wear robes. God said, be yourself.
Don't do what they're doing in the world.
Right. Be yourself. Mm-hmm. It says that.
Yeah.
Be yourself, and I shall be with you.
Yeah.
Be yourself. You can't, if you're not a Muslim, you can't be a Muslim. You can't follow ways that are not meant for you just because you feel it's a better way of life.
Exactly. That it fits your lifestyle or it makes you comfortable. Yeah. I've had plenty of conversations with Muslims and Buddhists and all kinds of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Buddhists? How does that go? That's a very defined.
Buddhists believe that they believe in self-enlightenment. That you can, you receive the same thing that you would receive with the Holy Spirit, but it's within you. You don't receive it from a God.
I believe that.
It's within you.
To a certain extent, I believe that too.
And I'm like, okay, but
well, you have to have self-control in order for God to recognize, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know He recognizes you if you're bad but I'm saying if you have self-enlightenment. If you take the time to say, I'm not going to harm my fellow man, mm-hmm. I'm not going to raise my voice, I'm not going to raise my hands, I'm not going to do this, doesn't that put you in a certain light?
Yeah, no, you definitely, you're a better person by, exhibiting self-control. Like, I'm not going to punch somebody in the face when, because he stepped on my shoe or looked at me wrong.
To be honest with you, I don't even see you getting angry.
No, I get angry.
I've never seen you get angry.
I do.
I've known you for years. I've never seen you get angry.
It takes a lot for me to get angry, but when I do, I get angry. It's like, but the thing about the Spirit is like, it teaches us it's like a prerequisite to heaven. It's like, how you expect to live in heaven if you don't know how to live in heaven? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is training, and it's preparing us for the spiritual world. That's what Jesus was saying the entire time, which is God. God came down and said, listen, I've been talking to you guys since the beginning of time, and you guys are doing, the people of Israel going through a lot of stuff that God was like, no, I don't want this. You're going to build this this altar for me, like I could live in that altar. Come on, I'm bigger than that altar, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's like even with Job, he told Job, like, how you gonna tell me, like, how you gonna question me? Why? You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that created all this. You know, this was a reason. This was he was a reason for you to go through that, but you're still alive and you're here, and I'm gonna give you back what you lost. But I just wanted you to acknowledge something. Same thing with Abraham, with him about to sacrifice his son. And then the angel was like, nope, we just wanted to make, and he was like, what? So all of this was a lie? No, it wasn't a lie. I wanted you to see the level of your faith and where you're at. I wasn't going to actually have you kill your son. You know what I'm saying? But
just to see where your faith is at.
Yeah, but
I said this to somebody the other day, that that even though and I'm sorry, I'm getting back to Trump. You never heard Trump say any Bible quotes.
Nope.
Never say any Bible quotes.
But he had the Bible in his hand in that picture, upside down, too.
You're ahead of me today, 1,000%.
Yeah,
Purpose of that.
I don't even think he knew why he did that.
Right.
I know that he's not a Bible. He's not a Christian.
We all know that.
Yeah.
That's pointed out.
He's using that for just to get a fan base, to like increase his numbers. But when he gets in the office, he's going to change all that.
You think so?
Yeah, there's going to be some changes.
Do you think that he's going to steamroll ahead as far as war? Forget about everything else. Let's just concentrate on Trump and war for a minute. And the reason why I say that is because the moment he hits office, he wants his power. Mm-hmm. Which way did he go for power? Does he start domestic?
Yep.
And then works his way out.
He's going to clean in house. And then, he said it.
Minority groups?
He said it. He didn't particularly point out any minority groups, but he said there are going to be some changes. Man. He's going to come after New York.
Do you think he's prejudiced?
Yeah. He's old school.
But prejudice how? Because I don't think, I'm going to say he's prejudiced, but I don't think it's by color.
Oh, you think it's by wealth?
Yes and no. I think by wealth and order of the biological body. So in other words, I'm saying I don't think he has respect for women.
No.
But I think he has respect for intelligent older women. So my thing is I don't think he respects the fact of men and women. I think he respects wisdom. That's why I think he separates. He's wise. He's just tricky. Because people think he's stupid. I don't think he's stupid.
Nah.
I think he's an intelligent puppet. Who's the person that controls the puppets?
Puppeteers.
Mm-hmm. I think he's an excellent puppeteer. I think he knows how to take his puppets and move them where he needs them to be without, I think he's just excellent at that. And a lot of people say, you a Trump fan? No, I'm not.
I think there's somebody controlling him.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Because he's a businessman who's not intelligent about business.
He has advisors.
He just knows his brand and his market.
Yep.
It's what he's good for.
He has somebody behind him.
Yeah.
We don't know who that person is.
I think I might know.
But I gotta do this interview today too. But
go ahead. We can continue this next week.
But the one thing I want to leave with Trump though is that in this country is that we are about to see a big transition, because I kept asking myself, why are all these migrants coming here from Texas? Why is this happening? Why is the mayor allowing it? And then the mayor's not even giving I don't think he's not explaining himself about this. He's not giving I can't even say it. But he can't. He has no explanation. While this was happening in the beginning, Trump already mentioned that we have all these migrants coming here committing crimes.
Yes.
And now fast forward to today in June.
And look what's happening.
We've had 3 shootings by migrants. And they're shooting at cops. And there was an incident that happened today. Migrants committing crimes. I think this is all set up for him to come in place, because look what New York voters are saying now. We need someone to come in because Biden's not doing it, so we want somebody to come in and change this.
Should have gave Trump
and
the
get
wall.
rid of him. Now Biden is changing his tune, and he made an executive decision.
Yes. No more than $2,800 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a Band-Aid because once after that, it's that's not going to be enough.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
You know that.
Yeah,
we don't.
Next Wednesday, man. We got
all
to
the
talk
time,
about.
man.
We got to talk.
You are one of my most fascinating speakers. I love sitting down with you anytime, any topic, anything, sports, anything. I want to get into the WNBA. I want to get into all of that. Yes. I want to.
Oh yeah, there's some static happening now. You saw that?
Yes.
What's the name? She fouled.
Yeah. Reeves. I know what you mean.
I was like,
cut over the forehead. I think is that the one?
I think so. It just happened. What team did she play for?
And
Chicago.
She got choked. Is that the one?
No. She bumped her, but she hit her hard and called her the B word.
Oh, this is going to be good.
And I was just like, why? What happened? It's like, what's going on? Everybody's like upset because here comes someone of a different color comes into, and then
I always said that the girl Caitlin Clark, she's the Larry Bird of the WNBA. They were just waiting for her. Yeah. Now they gotta wait. Now they gotta find the magic, and then the Jordan's gonna come.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, they got her, but they got the bird. She's the bird. She's the reason why the league is gonna pick up. No shame. I'm not ashamed of it. But there were people before her. But she's the one they chose.
You know who I think is gonna be the next Jordan in the in the NBA?
Huh.
I think it's gonna be Anthony Edwards.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think that's his child on the secret level.
He reminds me of Jordan when Jordan first came into the league. He was mouthing at everybody, dunking on everybody, couldn't control him. He was the scorer, lead scorer, and his skills was just kept building and building. I want to see him, Anthony Edwards, in about 3 years to see what he looks like. Yeah. Because they can't defend him.
This is going to be good.
You see?
Nobody could defend him.
Yeah. He's hitting them threes and them shots.
Always a pleasure, my brother.
Right, man.
You have a good one. You can leave it open. Thank you very much.
All right, man.
Have a blessed one, man.
You too, man.
I like your shoe. Your shoe game is crazy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Have a good one.
All right.
God is good.